Let's look at the ps command. This command lists all the processes running on the system. When executed without options, it lists the current user's process. Here we can see that there is a process running the user's login shell bash with process ID 5887. We can also see the controlling terminal, the CPU time also. There is also another process which ran the ps command, and the ID of the process is 6209. We can ask ps to display columns that we are interested in and display the information about the process that we want to see. And that's specified using the -o option, and it is followed by a comma separated column names. So here we have the process ID, the parent process ID, the process group ID, and the session ID and the command. So if we were to run this, we can see that 5887, the process is running the user's login shell, and the parent process of that process is another one with 5869 as the process ID. We will see that shortly. And we have another process which ran the ps command, and the parent process of that is the bash process 5887. So when we hit enter over here, bash read the entire line, created a new process, a child process, and the ps command was executed in that child process. And the status of the child process is received by the parent process, bash in this case. Now we can look at a set of piped commands and look at what is the process group and the session. So let's have two commands which are going to sleep for 10 seconds each, and we will send this process group into the background, and then let's display the process using the previous command. And we can see that when we hit enter over here, bash has created two child processes, and both of them are executing the sleep commands. And we can see that the parent process ID of both those processes is 5887, which is the login shell process of this user. Now we can also see that there is a group ID. Now every process belongs to a group, so all the child processes here belong to a group, and the group has a group leader. So the group leader is the process whose PID is the group ID. So here we have the first child process running the sleep command, and its ID is 6279, and that's the same as the group ID. So that's the group leader. That process is the group leader. Now we have the session ID. A process session is a collection of process groups, and the session leader's ID is shown in the session ID. So here we have the login shell with process ID 5887 as the session leader. So that's the group ID and session ID. And if we were to list all the processes on the system using the -e option, and we are interested in the same columns, and if we run this, we can see that the bash login shell that we are in is 5887, and the parent process of 5887 is another process with ID 5869. If we look at what is 5869, we can see that that's another process running the application console, which is the UI application for KDE terminal, and that's with process ID 5869, and console has a parent process whose ID is 3065. So if we were to look at what 3065 is, 3065 is the KDE desktop's plasma shell process, and that has a parent process with ID 1. Now if we look at what the process with ID 1 is, we can see that that's systemd. So systemd is the init service type used on this system. We also have the regular init on other systems, and systemd in this computer brings up the system to a particular run level by running all the services. And it has a parent process which is 0, which is a swapper process created by the kernel. So that's the ps command with some information.